Hey, everybody. Marcus C. Williams here. Thank you for tuning in to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3. We are here. We are in the house, and you're listening to me, Marcus C. Williams, and we've got
Brian McKenzie.
right here in the house. They've got the heat on. At least that's what it feels like. Oh, my goodness. It's about 90 degrees outside, and let me tell you, it definitely isn't much cooler on the inside in here. They've told us that we shouldn't use the air condition because apparently the air condition is going to cause a leak.
This heat's going to cause me to spring a leak.
Listen, I'm already started. I tried to clean off this little teeny fan that they've got over here. And I mean, man, it looks like the fan came out from the 1962. And it's doing about the best as anything can happen from something from the fossil ages. Oh, boy. So as we get right here into it, let's start talking about the things that matter, not just to our country, but to the world and what everything that's happening inside the world is going on. And I'm not going to sit here and sing you a song, okay? It doesn't look very peachy keen.
All you have to do is turn on
right
the TV.
now. I mean, we witnessed today the largest loss in the stock market in the history of ever. More than 1,000 points in one day.
Throughout the world, Japan was crushed.
Japan,
I mean,
yeah, they lost 7% overnight. It's crazy. So we look at these issues that we see as the same time as the stock market seems to be having a serious issue. We might be going to war. Oh boy. So it looks like with what's going on over in Israel, we had the Israel strike on the leader of Hezbollah and the leader of Hamas, and they killed, I believe it was the leader of Hezbollah, inside Iran, inside Tehran, the capital of Iran, while they were seating the new president of Iran. I mean, man, if that isn't that's some brass ones right there. I mean, my goodness. But you know, as we watch something like that, that just encourages somebody else to say, hey, we got to strike back against that. Otherwise, we look like I don't know what you would say, very soft pussycats. Yes, and nobody wants to look like that, especially when you've got countries like that that are supposedly supposed to be very strong and very rigid and upright. So as we see stuff like that going, now we've got the U.S. talking about, oh, we're going to put some ships out there. And
yeah, they're on their way already.
They're on their way, right? This is our, third or fourth aircraft aircraft garrison over there, you know, and it's really, really serious. I suppose that one of the main concerns should be that Lindsey Graham decided that he's going to sponsor a bill that enables the U.S. to essentially declare war on Iran and strike targets in Iran.
There's never been a war, Lindsey Graham.
Oh, I don't know what he's invested in, but it must be skyrocketing right now. Let me go check out his portfolio real quick. Oh, boy. But we've got people in Congress right now that are so war hungry that they would be willing to sacrifice the youth of this country as well as they have made and are on the way to make, just so that they can fund their own special interests and those who are working to fund them.
That's fact.
And that's a very serious issue. That's a very serious issue. And we look at that and we say, oh, well, what's going on in the rest of the world? You see, Europe right now is in upheaval.
Oh, yeah. And why? Because of people coming in through their borders. I mean,
yes. Oh, what? Borders?
Yeah, right. You don't need those, right?
Oh, my goodness. You know, and we've got the people. Look at England, Scotland, and Ireland over the weekend. There were a couple of incidences over the last couple of months where these immigrants, because they're actual immigrants over there, they're not illegal immigrants or illegal aliens like we have in the U.S. The whole process and system over there is different.
Yeah, a lot.
Not
that much different anymore, but
because you're just letting everybody in over here. But essentially they can be in those countries or whatever. So for this term, I will be calling them immigrants.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I'm talking about them over. So for the immigrants over there, the large issue is with the Muslim immigrants not from the African countries, but from the Middle Eastern countries. So from those sand countries where you get the majority of people who happen to be Muslim from. Now, it's very interesting because there are people in Northern Africa and Central Africa that are also coming there. And those people seem to be a lot less of an issue than the people from the Middle Eastern countries are. And if we look at what we've seen recently in history from those areas, they are very anti and aggressively agitating anybody that is not of their religion when they go to other people's countries. See, it's not what's going on in their country, right? Like, let's not get it twisted. Whatever they do in their country is what they do in their country.
It's their country,
you know. But when you go to other people's country, unless you're American, and you demand that they do what you want them, unless you're American,
right?
Hey man, I believe that if I go to a Spanish-speaking country, they should speak some English.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm very American in that way, you know. And I joke, but the seriousness is that now they are being rehomed there, right? So now they are living there, and they're pushing this Sharia law type of stuff in their communities, and they're trying to push it out to the wider area. And people say, "Oh no, that's not what's happening," but it is happening.
It is.
We're seeing it in America, in Dearborn, Michigan, right now. Look it up if you're not familiar with Dearborn, Michigan. Look it up. They seated the whole town council over there is now Muslim. Okay.
Yep.
And we're not, again. They're whatever you want to call them. I call them the sand people, right? Because I don't want to get in trouble for saying, well, they're Persian, well, they're Arabic, because they're like, all of the countries are desert countries, some that are mountainous, okay? But they're all in the middle of the desert, except for Turkey. Turkey's a little different. Yeah. So, but that's a whole separate Turkey now, right?
Yeah, Turkey's going to take Turkey about to invade Israel, and I mean, a NATO country. But I mean, that's just a whole.
Well, they did win. Wow. They did have that guy win silver in the Olympics, right?
Yeah, right.
And Turkey's got their own stuff going on. Very interesting, because they're fighting for the crown of who is the successor to the Persian Empire, or to the in this case to the Ottoman Empire, and the other side is the Iran is the Persian Empire, and this and that and the third, and it gets very convoluted. But they're all vying for power in the Muslim world, and it's really something that's translating over to other countries that they're being funneled to. There's no other way to say it, but they're being funneled to these countries. So over the weekend in England, Scotland, and Ireland, after a bunch of different murders and attacks by people from those countries over there in the Middle East, the people said that they've had enough.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people started actually standing up, and they've been spurred to aggressive action against them and against their businesses because they're tired and they feel like their country has been invaded. And I don't blame them, because they're not wrong. Okay, no. They're trying to change these traditionally, and we're talking
a radical approach. It's not like we're coming over here and we want our culture accepted as well. It's a radical approach to eliminate other cultures while implementing your own, and that's you just don't do that. But
exactly, I saw a video. I think it was Whitehall in England, where all of the signs are in like Hindu or something like that. So, and now Hindus aren't part of this conversation, but the point is all of the signs in England are in a foreign language.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's and we're not talking about French Quebec.
No.
Okay, that's a whole nother conversation, which I didn't actually know that didn't start to happen till like the 60s, 60s, 70s.
I didn't either.
I didn't know, I had no clue. I thought it was always like that, but apparently not. They just hated the rest of the
right.
I'm not.
They didn't want them to understand what they were talking about.
Yeah, so they were like, "You're too British. We wanted to be more French," you know. But when we look at these type of serious issues going on over there, there was all types of riots, police cars being flipped over, burnt on fire, buildings getting smashed up. Some of them went and they attacked. They call them the hooligans. Hooligans are people to go out and they tear stuff up and stuff like that. So they went to go burn down, and I'm laughing to keep from crying because it's insane. Went to go burn down one of these hotels that they had all of them staying in, because they're like, we don't want them here.
Yep.
And that's been a cry that they've been saying the whole time. Ireland's really had a good go at it. I feel bad for Ireland. They've been really, because they're like the whole island of Ireland, aside from largely ethnically Irish people.
Yep.
You know, so they got all these people coming in there trying to force them to change.
And they're actually using, I mean, the Irish, they're actually using the term replacement, theory, and they're saying it. You know, here if you say that you're just the worst thing in the world, you can't say that, but it is. They said this is absolutely what is happening in our country. We are being, objectively replaced on a systematic basis. You know, it's one, and it's a big plan, and it's been coming in, and now it's radicalized and it's sped up because of the situation in the Middle East. So it's gotten quicker and it's happening faster.
So the more war and the more fear and the more stuff that's going on in the Middle East. Now remember, it's funny we talked about Turkey for a second. Turkey wouldn't even take any of them.
No, absolutely.
So
not.
you mean to tell me that Turkey, a Muslim country, wouldn't take any of the immigrants?
What do they know? What do they know?
Yeah, hey, Turkey, tell us something, And they must have clearly known something,
Absolutely.
Well, but these are the conversations we can't have. And it's very interesting if you here, and I don't want them, no offense. Okay, but the fact of the matter is every single Muslim country they went to, they've tried to overthrow the government. Mm-hmm. Okay, you saw it happen in Lebanon, you saw it happen in Jordan. They won't take none of them. Hell, Iran won't take any of them.
You got to remember, they voted Hamas in. Hamas didn't take over the area. They were voted in by the vast majority of Palestinians. And if you watch the videos, they say, well, the citizens are this, the citizens are the ones being hurt. When they're dragging the citizens spitting on them and doing things like that. So it's not, if they were truly fleeing oppression, it's one thing, but they back what's going on as far as the attack on the 7th and all that good stuff.
I mean, they've been taught that from
a radicalized nature. Yeah.
So and then you've got little different things that could be seen as being intentionally against them. You could understand how it's easy to cultivate the mind of the people over there to turn them against other countries.
Yes, when you're raised in a system that tells you you're oppressed and tells you that. I mean, we've seen it here, for example. I mean, in numerous areas where if you're raised to think the system's rigged against you, if something happens that is against you, it's going to set you up.
Yeah,
that's simple.
Exactly. But we can't have those conversations, and we need to be able to have those conversations. These are real conversations to be had. We've got a whole lot of our military is beginning to mobilize, and they're talking about calling up reservists and stuff like that. Stuff is getting real serious and real thick. And we happen to notice every single time, and there's got to be some correlate. Every single time the stock market starts having trouble, we end up in a new war.
Yeah, right.
Every single time.
Throughout history, not just recently.
Yeah, it's like clockwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like clockwork. So we're coming up on one soon. It's interesting. We had the previous president. He was like, if I don't get elected, there's going to be war, and the economy is going to suffer, and the stock market's going to suffer, and everybody laughed and was like, no, it's not going to happen. And everything, and I'm not saying that he's a swami.
No, but everything he says
usually
happens.
Said has happened.
Yeah, it's pretty, as I always say, it ends up happening, and then people are like, man, you got lucky on that. You got lucky. Well, he's
Trump's lucky a lot.
I'm taking him to the casino with me because he's lucky.
Listen, Trump casino wasn't that lucky.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, but no, the whole thing goes back to why are we here in this position we're in? When just 4 years ago we had the Abraham Accords, we had virtual peace through such areas. We had, and it really doesn't come to like butt kissing or peace. It comes to strength and showing strength. And right now, the U.S. really doesn't have that deterrence mechanism anymore because we don't portray the strength we've done in the past. A, we're spread thin. B, we're there. I mean, first of all, for example, with Ukraine and Israel, we say we want Ukraine to win the war, right? But we would rather just give them enough to kind of fight to a stalemate.
Right.
And same here. It's like this war could have been over probably already if they would have just let them go at it. But to the U.S. is a foot on, like they say, straddling the fence is what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, but that's really the big issue. And as you're listening to the show, definitely, if you're listening to us on, definitely share it, helps get the message out there. And if you're listening to us on the radio, make sure that you let everybody know Mondays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Listen to The Divide. because we've got some good information for you and we want to help get it out there.
So we try to be as truthful as possible. So
when we talk about serious issues, like what we're talking about now, we might try to make it a little light, a little levity to the situation, but this is direly serious. And as I often say, you know, you got to laugh to keep from crying because it's terribly serious. And what our goal is to do is to encourage people to start to get more involved in what's going on, to start to see through the veil that's been put over our eyes. We've got a government right now, the Biden administration, I should say the Harris administration, right? You know, where is Biden? Is he, you know,
I don't know. I think he's checked out.
We're still not even sure if he's 100% alive. And, and people will laugh and say, oh, well, you're joking. I'm not joking.
No, I mean,
I am not joking.
We used to see him all the time. We see him all the time. You know, maybe not hear him, but
seriously wrong. Okay, something is seriously
I don't know,
wrong.
maybe they told him just stay out of the way. It could be something as simple as that, but who knows? Something's up.
Something's really up. Well, she's the one meeting with all the other people.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's just, and he said he's going to be the president, focus on being the president. Well, I hadn't seen you focus
on. Which is even more scary that she's meeting with people. Yeah.
But she's.
We'll get into that another time. But
so, we've got this administration currently, and now they're like, we want to save democracy. Save democracy. What democracy? Where's democracy? We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. We've never been a democracy. We have a constitution.
We purposely avoided a democracy because a democracy is when 51% of the population completely oppresses the other 49%, and that, you know, whatever they want is going to go. We got a system of checks and balances where the minority party actually does have influence on the situation and can block things and get things started. But in other countries, in real democracies, you don't see that. Yes, we have a democratic approach to our system, but it's either a democratic republic or a constitutional republic, whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's not a democrat republic. See, and I have to challenge people when they say that, like they want to fight. You want to fight because you don't know what a democrat republic is, because it doesn't exist, because it can't exist.
It's an oxymoron.
Because what we have, the form of government that we have is a representative constitutional republic. Okay. We elect the people on the local level to represent us and to vote for us to represent us. Okay. There is no everybody votes. We don't even have that in the presidential election.
No.
We even have the electoral college.
And there's a reason for that too.
So there's no part of our government which is a democracy at all. But we've got the Democrats pushing this concept, and they've softened the minds of so many Americans, and they just figured if people are so dumb that they'll buy into it. And it's gotten so bad that when you talk to people, like we were talking about, the Palestinians are all, they've been taught that from a young age, so that's all that they know. You talk to people here, that's all that they know. They don't even know.
It's all that they know, and they're willing to take the narrative, whatever it's fed to them right now, and just run with it. I mean, I see it all the time. I'll be watching YouTube, and I just see these younger people. They'll say something to, you know, whether it be a Josh Shapiro or someone like that, or Ben Shapiro, and they'll say, you know, they'll make a statement, and basically the answer back to them is just challenging to prove that statement, and it stumps them right off the bat. They're stumped. It's like, I wasn't prepared to actually prove my point. You know, it's like, nobody has any evidence to what they're saying because it's just repeating what they saw on social media that day.
And that's a very serious issue. But we've also got the colleges, which are turning the kids into little brainwashed.
It's an indoctrination station.
It is. There was a study, and I don't know if I brought this up on the show before, but there was a study, and I'm going to symbolize the study. Like, these aren't the right numbers, but this is essentially what happened. It showed that from kindergarten, everybody started off on genius level. When they tracked the same kids in third grade, it was like 75% were still genius level. By the time they got to middle school, it was like 16% were genius level. These are the same kids. By the time it got to high school, it was like 2%.
So it makes you think they're teaching the other way around. They're dumbing us down instead of, and the ones that are actually, are actually able to fight through the system, make it, not the ones that abide by the system.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because, again, we go back and I hope that you guys don't think that I'm bashing Democrats today, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm just stating the facts. We've got these people talking about we're defending democracy. Okay, so what does democracy mean? Number one, please define it. I need you to, because I watched Biden's speech the other day, and he quoted Benjamin Franklin talking about what type of government do we have.
Right.
He said a republic if we can keep it. Go watch the video. Go watch Biden's video. He said we have a republic. Okay, so this is a serious thing that we need to have the conversations about. But now they're trying to change the Supreme Court. Okay,
just because they don't like it. Just because things don't go their way.
You want term limits in the Supreme Court when we don't got term limits in Congress.
Right. Let's worry about that. Yeah.
Let's start in the right place.
From a person who spent 40-something years in Congress to pushing term limits.
Listen, what's her face too? Kamala too. Let's not let her off. She all talking about all of this nonsense. And this is a craziness, right? This is absolutely insane because these are people talking about they want to protect stuff, but you're trying to change the Constitution.
They literally will
means
say,
you're not trying to protect anything.
There's a clip of Kamala saying straight up, if we don't get what we want, I'm willing to change that system. I mean, that's what she says when it's talking about the filibuster in that book. But she has literally said the systems that don't break our way, that allow checks and balances to happen, and they're against us, we will alter them and we will change them or eliminate them. And is that really protecting any type of democracy or a republic?
She's the new nominee for the Democrat Party that nobody voted for.
Exactly.
When she was running for president,
nobody voted.
0% of the vote.
Tulsi Gabbard and her
voted
campaign real quick.
So when we got her as the person that's going to be supposedly, we'll see what happens at the convention. All hell meant break.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Who knows?
I don't want. Look, I can predict some things, but that one I don't even know. It'll depend on who she claims as vice president.
Yeah, and it'll depend on where the poll numbers are and all that stuff too.
Yep. This Josh Shapiro guy, I don't know anything about him, but I know. I know nothing about him. But he don't seem right and he don't smell right either. Okay, but as she's running, she's talking about stuff like she's going to do executive orders to take everybody's guns. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Says what? Says who? What?
So nobody needs more than 6 rounds. Who are you to tell somebody what they need? When
you got Secret Service and armed security.
It's real easy to say that. I saw that post here, the one on Facebook or whatever. It said that. It said, coming from the elites. Look, I had a picture of a kid and his dad. Look over there, son. Those are the people that want to ban guns. The ones with all the armed guards around them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Listen, let's all your armed guards can only have billy clubs.
Yeah.
Okay, or better yet, no, what do you call them?
The nightstick things.
The little things.
Yep, the batons.
Yeah.
They get that, and they get one. They get one round, one rubber bullet in their gun.
Like, this is crazy. Like, it's very frustrating because we see this stuff go on and on and on, and they say that they want to strip away our rights. But at the same time, out the side of their mouth, they're like, "Oh, well, we're trying to protect democracy."
And the worst part is 50%, maybe less, but a portion of the country actually hears them say that and then cheers and says yes. And they're laughing at you. Yeah. Every time you do that, they're laughing at you. They're like, we are selling these people a system that is going to strip them of their constitutional rights, and they're cheering for it.
Facts.
Hey.
It's very bad, and we see this happen more and more every day. They don't want you to redress your grievances with the government. Oh, no. Freedom of speech. Look at all of the stuff that they put in to silence you. You can't talk about half of nothing online. This was under this administration. Kamala's responsible for all of this.
Yep.
Kamala, get on the TV. Tell me you're giving me my right to free speech back on social media and on all other media platforms. Tell me that. Yep. Tell me something that's actually beneficial that you're going to do. Talk to me. But you got not Nicki Minaj. What's the other one's name? Megan Thee Stallion.
Yes.
Yeah. Cardi B's another.
Yeah, she's another one too. Yeah.
Oh my God. And she ain't even black. She's Puerto Rican. This is a whole conversation.
Yeah.
Separate conversation. I can't with Cardi B. I can't with none of them though. None of them. They're all the same. They're all the same person. They're all Little Kim.
Yep.
I can't mess with none of them. Okay.
Yep.
The hypersexualization, promotion of promiscuity. Okay. And the deleteriousness of the cohesive family unit in our society is aggressively destructive.
And the media just helps them push it along.
Especially to the black community.
Yeah, that's their target too. You're right.
But it is their target.
Absolutely.
But they promote this, and then they got Megan Thee Stallion out there talking about, I don't know, I don't even know if I could sing her lyrics on the radio. They're so bad.
If we want to be here next week, probably not.
Like the FCC's gonna be like, you can't say that. Because they're all about how do I say it nicely? Nasty stuff that you would do at night. And
that's nobody else's business.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Stuff that their whole platform stems on publicizing and soliciting and sharing information that is not necessary and is graphic and it's someone's personal life. And then they say, no, you want to share that because then we can celebrate. It makes you different. It makes you great. It's like, wait, how's this stuff even being talked about? Why? It shouldn't even be being talked about. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But she had Megan Thee Stallion at her thing in Atlanta at her rally in Atlanta. It just shows you what she really thinks about Black Americans.
Exactly.
And that's a conversation that needs to be had, because she's part of this elitist collective, largely tied to Marxists. Okay,
it's super tied to Marxists.
It's really, really insane. And I might be stuttering a lot right now because I'm trying to figure out the words without saying something that's going to get us cut off the air.
Yeah, no, it's so true though. The playbook, the Marxist playbook, is, if you look at it, if you can't relate that directly to what is going on with the left platform right now, then you're crazy.
I can't believe that they got up there and they try to say, oh, well, this is what's going to get us to vote for Black people. Not any policies that are going to help the Black community. Not one. They say they got one policy. They got special plans for the alphabet people. They got special plans for the illegal aliens, but they don't got no special plans for Black people. You're courting the Black vote with these entertainers that are promoting horrible lasciviousness.
Yes.
Okay, in the Black community.
And it's not just to the Blacks too. If you look, she's had basically separate Zoom calls based on your gender and your race, is what she divides you into, and then you have a Zoom call based on that. First of all, that's just insane to even think about right off the bat.
Did they not invite you to the white guy?
Right now, I'm so upset about that. I couldn't sit there and cry for 20 minutes after therapy session. But it's insane to think that that's acceptable today.
Ladies for Kamala Harris. Why is that a thing?
Exactly. But I just don't understand how in 2024 it is acceptable to say, okay, we're going to separate our voter base and we're going to publicly have Zoom calls for these based on white dudes for Harris, white women for Harris, Black women for Harris. And it is. And it's funny. Like I said, after every Zoom call, you have the elite that were laughing at them. Laughing at them.
That's what it is.
Cracking up at them. Thinking, you have that one teacher lady, that white lady, she said, she got on the call and she said, we need to gently parent them, because if we find ourselves over talking or, God forbid, correcting a woman of color, we got to step back and put our listening ears on. And not once did any of them talk about policy at all. It was all based on color. It was all based on gender. And it was all based on identity politics. Nothing in the Zoom call that I heard was, okay, well, this is what Kamala Harris is going to do for the economy. This is her foreign policy. You know, it's. I mean, if I was her, I'd stay away from it. Yeah, I was gonna say, if I was her, I'd stay away from those topics too. But the whole point is nothing. If you're going out there and you're throwing your support as hard as you are, it's what some of these people are, her, without any knowledge of what she stands for, just due to her gender and color, you got bigger issues than that. You know, you should probably look at who you're voting for, because you're gonna regret what you get in the long run if you're voting on someone just because they share the same color as you, or they don't share the same color as you.
No, it's the whole thing is insane. And if I don't understand why people don't understand that the Democrats consistently mock almost every group that there is out there.
Everyone, they think they're better than them all. That's why.
Look at the alphabet people right now. What represents, when you immediately think of the LGBTQZ right now, what is the immediate thing that you think of?
One of those pride parades.
One of those pride parades. And what's the sponsor, the biggest thing at the pride parades? You got these drag queens that are like they used to have guys that wanted to be female, that looked like they were female. They really tried, you know, they put the makeup and you know, and
it's hypersexuality too at a whole new level.
Well, I bring up the drag queens because they're not even trying, right? They are clowns. They legitimately have clowns that represent a whole segment of the population.
Like they go home and turn back into a man. Like they're not like they don't. They're not, like you said, they're not even trying.
Like they're not even trying, and they look like they got full beards. It's like the bearded lady at the circus.
It's like that one that worked for the bald guy with the goatee that wore a dress all the time.
And that's supposed to represent the whole alphabet community.
Yeah,
that's insane to me.
It is insane.
And it's the same thing that they do with Megan Thee Stallion. Okay, her provocative, proclivity type of nonsense that she's putting out there. That's supposed to represent the whole Black community? Are you serious right now?
Apparently, that's how they believe.
You believe that we're harlots and whoremongers? Come on now.
It's insanity. I saw a video, Marcus, of this gay guy's walking down the street. Now, in the video, you don't know he's gay. He's walking down the street, and he's going past the Pride Parade. And this guy from the Pride Parade comes over and starts screaming in his face, "Put your hands up for LGBTQ." He's like, "I don't need to put my hands up for anybody." He keeps walking, and they're like screaming at him, and they're like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" He said, "Actually, I'm going over to meet my boyfriend right over there because I'm gay as well, but I don't need to do this, you know." He goes, "Because it's none of anybody's business." They were just like, okay, you know.
There was this lesbian that I watched on this. She was on some podcast, and it's like the Super Gay Podcast or something like that. I forget what the name of it is, but that's what it's all about essentially. It might have been called that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she was on there and she's like, listen, she's like, I'm so fed up with all of this insanity. She's like, I just want to be left alone.
Exactly.
I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know.
That was the original concept of the whole movement.
Yeah, that's what the whole concept was. But now here we are, and it's just complete insanity. And this is where we're going, in the direction that we're going. It's not a good one, people, because we have a party that just likes to separate us, divide us, and make it so that we have some reason to believe that we are part of a specific tiny collective, some sort of a cell in the part of a much larger movement that is for everybody. But if it was for everybody, why is it so segmented? You understand what I'm saying? It's not for everybody. They want to decide for you what you should believe based on your skin color, based on your sexual orientation, okay, based on the food that you eat, okay? Like, it's really, really, really insane. And this is what's being pushed by our elected officials, by one of the parties, and it's not the Republican Party. I got my issues with the Republican Party myself in certain aspects, and I call it out whenever I see an issue, because I'm going to be 100% of the time. I'm not going to sit here and be halfways with different people. But when we see these types of issues going on, we need to actually talk about them. We seriously need to talk about them, because it's hurting our country, it's hurting our nation, and as our nation hurts, as our nation starts to feel the pain of the division, we are also seeing the pain from the policies that have been instituted by the Democrat Party. Now, can we sit here and talk about the policies from this party for a moment? We have the policies that have skyrocketed the cost of inflation. You've got look at the value of the dollar. Matter of fact, we'll start here. Talk about the stock market issue today, right? We are having a serious stock market issue, okay? And it goes back to policies and stuff like that. But people are like, oh my goodness, we may be getting ready to go into a recession. We're not going into a recession. We're in the middle of a depression that's greater than the worst Great Depression. And nobody will talk about it because they've tried to reclassify and rename what a recession is, what a depression is, since Joe Biden got in office, because we saw the serious issue with our economy happen a couple of months after he got into office. Now we've got Harris leading the whole thing, and she's destroying everything too. And then you talk to her, you see her interviews. Well, what are you going to do to fix the economy? I ain't never heard nobody say so much and nothing at all. It is insane. It is insane. Like, she just completely talked around the issue of inflation. Let me tell you a real whole fact about inflation right now, right? Inflation is supposed to be what the value of the dollar is and the buying power in relation to it. During the Great Depression, people were, if you adjust for the value of the dollar, people were making more in the Great Depression than they are now. Since the Great Depression, since the end of the Great Depression, 1940, right? Since 1940, the value of the dollar has decreased 96%. That means what your dollar was worth back in 1940, now it's only worth 4 pennies. That's insane. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. So you look at it, you look at something back in the 80s, you could have bought a house for $80,000 a year. You could have got a house, a car, and all of that. The same thing equivalent to $80,000 a year back then in the 80s, now would be $256,000. What are we doing? It's very clear that a lot of this comes from not just government policy when it comes to the regulations and issues that are going on with our economy and how they put all of these laborious, terrible regulations on industries and, like, for instance, agriculture or manufacturing, all of them, hospitality. What's another big one? The medical industry is highly subsidized by the government, so I'm not even going to really mention them, but they got some issues there. But it's all very, very, very not good. And I'm putting it nicely, because the government is expanding And now it's eating the American citizens. Every day, more of our value of our dollar is eaten. It's like Pac-Man going nom, 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 eating up more and more of our dollar every day. 4 cents. A dollar from 1940 compared to now is only worth 4 cents. What is going on? People, wake up. And this goes into monetary policy. Then we got to talk about Janet Yellen, who used to be the head of the Federal Reserve, which the Federal Reserve is a private bank. It's not part of the government, okay? And the Fed. I have said what I said. The Federal Reserve needs to be ended, okay? Because they do nothing but impact the U.S. Treasury. Now, the U.S. Treasury is supposed to be independent of the Federal Reserve, but that whole thing is a lie because Janet Yellen used to be the head of the Federal Reserve. Now she's the Secretary of Treasury. How does that happen if they're supposed to be independent? Jerome Powell used to be her second. Now he's the head of the Federal Reserve. You mean to tell me that they ain't playing footsie under the table and steal the money out of Americans' back pockets? Don't play with me, man. Okay? And they try to play in your face and make you think that you can't see what's going on because they don't believe that you're smart enough to understand any of it. When really it's rather simple, but they try to deflect and they won't talk about it. That's why Kamala Harris would not address what she would do to do anything about the inflation and the skyrocketing costs. But they're out here giving illegal aliens thousands of dollars. I don't know if you guys saw the receipt that's going viral online. One of the illegal aliens left their EBT receipt when they went to one of the bodegas in the city, and it said that they had like $13,000 worth of food stamps, bro. If you out here getting $23 worth of food stamps and you're working 2 jobs, you're doing some big stuff. 13,000, man, they're giving these people thousands upon thousands of dollars every single month, and we as American citizens are getting nothing, while at the same time they're out here putting more harm into the agricultural industry. Okay, they're out there making it worse so that farmers can't farm, so that they're not able to raise cattle, so that they're not able to do any of the things that are necessary that would provide the amount of supply that would end up lowering the cost. I mean, they've even put in regulations that are crazy. The Biden administration has done this. The Harris administration, I should say, has done this. They've put in policies that have made it so that they can't even use fertilizer anymore. Like, it's crazy. They're shutting down and constraining water use. It's insane. It's insane what's going on. But at the same time, they're selling water to Saudi Arabia and China. It's crazy. Don't get me started. We'll be here all day. That's a whole nother topic for another conversation. You know, you're listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. This is Marcus C. Williams. If you're watching us online, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Definitely share. Okay, it's very important. And if you want to follow me online, let's tune into the Marcus C. Williams channel on Rumble, subscribe, or on YouTube. That's where most of the videos are now. They're transferring over to Rumble right now, so the rest of those will be up there soon. But the Marcus C. Williams channel, and if you want to search me, I'm on all social media platforms. But these are serious conversations that we need to have. And it's impacting us every day more and more. Also, this pro-crime agenda that's being pushed is very detrimental to every single person that's in a large urban area and even those outside. We really need to have a conversation about what is happening and how it's hurting the people that are most at risk. But we can't have that conversation because they don't want you to have that conversation. Now, we got some time here. I want to get into some real nitty gritty. So I'm a Republican, unashamedly. Okay, I'm a Republican, I'm conservative, I'm a Christian, I'm a nationalist, whatever. Okay, but at the end of the day, I'm Marcus C. Williams. Okay, and the way that it works for me is it goes like this, in this order. First, I'm Christian. That's at the top. That's number 1. Okay, second, I'm American. That's number 2. Okay, third, I'm Black American. That's number 3. Okay. Then I'm a constitutional conservative. That's 4. And 5th, I'm Republican. So when I talk about this stuff, it's very frustrating that people are like, oh, well, You're a Republican. You can't have any thoughts on this, or you can't speak on this. It's so disgusting. Makes me want to spit. Because you think different than I do because you're a Republican. No, I don't think. That's not even my first thing. My first thing is I'm a Christian. Okay, I'm a God-fearing Christian, and I read my Bible, not as much as I should, admittedly, and I encourage all of you to read your Bible. And if you're not a Christian, I encourage you to turn to Christ and read the Bible for yourself. Okay, start in the New Testament, and come to Jesus. Right? Jesus has all these teachings about how you can get closer to our Lord and Father in heaven, and it's very, very important. And if we had more of the teachings from the Bible in society, America wouldn't be feeling like it is right now. America started to fail when we started to take God and the Bible out of everything. When we started to take God out of the schools started to get more unruly and crazy. When we started to take God out of the justice system, stuff started to really go crazy far left, you know? And there's scripture that's related to that. And I think I'll do a whole separate episode on that, maybe next week or the week after. Depends on what news comes up. But there's whole scriptures about how the wicked man's heart it inclines to the left, and the wise man's heart inclines to the right. I mean, it just says it right there. And I paraphrase that. It's actually reversed. It's the other way around. It says first, a wise man's heart leans towards the right, and a wicked man's heart leans toward the left. But that's how it is. And you can go look that up in scripture. I forget what it is off the top of my head. But it also talks about liberals and how they're no good in the Bible very, very, very often. A considerable number of times for it to be a book that wasn't written anytime around now. It's like, wow, how did you see into the future? You know, but we see that with the Bible. Thousands upon thousands of prophecies from the Bible have come true. So it's real solid. You know, people say, oh, well, it's not a real thing or a history or anything like that. It's real. If it's real, then how come so many things that have been prophesied in it have come true? You know, if it's not, you know, but that's neither here nor there. That's where I start. That's where my morals and values come from. Christianity and the Bible. Okay. The morals that were laid out in the Bible, okay, and that were firmed up by Jesus coming to earth and preaching the gospel. Okay. I believe very firmly that when we see all of this debauchery, lasciviousness, okay, ultra greed and stuff like that that's going on in the world, a large part of it is because we've stepped away from the Lord. We need to turn back. We used to be a very God-fearing country. There was open worship all the time. You know, all the soldiers were given Bibles when they went out into the field. This is a real thing. You can look that up. And we've moved so far away from that. When we had that, America was prospering. And now we're declining because we've stepped away from the Lord. We've got people out here talking about we're going to make abortion clinics because we want to do child sacrifice. That's a real thing. Go look it up. The Church of Satan opened an abortion clinic because they said child sacrifice is a ritual for their religion. It's crazy. It's insane. And this is where we're at, that they'd actually allow that. Like, this is insane. That should not be allowed. Like, they're telling you exactly that they're doing child sacrifice and you're allowing them to have an abortion clinic. You sound crazy. You sound crazy. It's it's demonry all over the place. It's evil. It's straight evil. And when we see what's going on, we see more of the perversion pushed on the children. They're telling the boys they don't need to be boys, and the girls they don't need to be girls. We see the Olympics. We got men competing in boxing matches, okay, with women, okay. And I'm not even talking about like was she from Algeria, okay, that dude, okay. They're like, well, she was a woman or whatever the case. And I'm not trying to hear that. I'm talking about that other Asian dude. That's clearly a dude. That dude is a whole dude. It's a dude. It's like Kenan and Kel. I'm a dude. He's a dude. She's a dude. We're all dudes. Hey, yes, it's real, real, real. You know, and we need to be having these serious conversations, but we're not able to because they try to shut you down and silence you. They say that they'll cancel you, okay, and all of this other insanity. If we don't have real conversations about serious issues affecting our nation, how can we have them? We can't. But that's where my standpoint comes from everything, is from the Bible. After that, it's America. Okay? I'm very hardcore America first because I'm American. I don't got nowhere else to go. Canada doesn't want Americans. Mexico doesn't want Americans. Mexico's actually expelling Americans right now. So that's a very interesting thing. They've said that the Americans in Mexico are pumping up the prices of goods too much in their economy, and it's making it hard for actual Mexicans to buy their necessities and stuff like that and to live. I mean, geez, at least Mexico cares about their people. It's clear that the Democrats that are in power don't care about us, and that's a very serious rebuke. It really, really is, you know. And then we've got these people who are all like, oh, let the illegal aliens vote. They should be able to, because no person is illegal, because this, that, and they're not citizens. Stop trying to rewrite the Constitution on the fly. Don't do that. It's in the Constitution like that for a reason, because they're not vested in our country. Okay. And then you want to give everybody amnesty for citizenship and stuff like that. No, deport all of them. Deport the illegal aliens, deport the people here that are on overstayed visas, deport all of them. Every single last one of them, especially the ones on visas, okay, that are overstayed their visas over a year. Okay. You're gone and you're not coming back. We're not issuing you a way back. No, you can't stay here. Okay. You got to go because you came here for one reason and then you stayed on some false pretense on a lie, just hoping that we didn't catch up with you. Okay. There needs to be mass deportations. We just can't afford them, but we're giving them all our money when we got people working 3-4 jobs out here struggling to survive. And inflation is crushing everyone. It's crushing everyone. There was an article I read in ABC, right? So very leftist. So in the ABC news, and they said that, oh, well, people are struggling to decide on paying for their children's school supplies or eating this year. What? That's where we are? Paying for children's school supplies or eating? What's ABC? Okay, I don't know if the article is still up because, I mean, man, they really were going in on the comments on it. But it's crazy that that is where we are. You can probably look it up. I'm sure some other news periodical picked it up after they said put that out. But it's crazy that that's the choices that people are making right now. People are making choices whether to eat or whether they have electricity at their homes, but they're out here giving illegal aliens thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, our priorities as America needs to be American citizens. And then this whole international war, we're going to war with all these other countries. We're about to go to war with China. We're about to go to war with Iran. We're at war with Yemen, not really, but sort of, with the Houthis. We're at war with all of these other groups and stuff like that. Now they're talking about, oh, we might have to intervene in Venezuela because the Venezuela election was messed up. But for some reason, the Venezuelan election was done on Dominion machines. Yeah, you guys remember the Dominion machines. And there was some very interesting stuff that happened with the statistics on those Dominion machines on election day. Hey, I got no judgment here. I got plenty of judgment, but I'm not going to share. Okay, because I want to say online. But I'm just saying, if the shoe fits, wear it, right? Then they've got Brazil, and they've got Lula from Brazil, and they've got the U.S., Harris and them talking about, oh, well, he needs to leave. We declare the opposition the leader of the country. How dare you? How dare you? Didn't you get mad talking about, oh, well, Trump was trying to stay in power when he shouldn't have been in power? You're trying to install somebody else in another country as their leader? Are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? And Lula was in jail for corruption. Are you serious? Lula from Brazil. Oh, go look him up. Piece of garbage. So disgusting, it makes you want to spit. They're not going to let me back in Brazil if I keep talking about that man, but oh well. It's okay. Remember to drink water and stay hydrated. But they're talking about in Venezuela, they're going to replace their government. How dare you, bro? How dare you when you got mad talking about that the people that wanted to look into the election here because they said that some stuff was going on, okay, that they all were put in jail. Same thing happened in Brazil, and you put them all in jail. Now you mad at Maduro because people that are questioning the election are getting put in jail and getting beat by the police, but that's what y'all did here, and it was even 100 times worse in Brazil. Oh my God. Like you probably don't know if you listen to this about what happened in Brazil in the last election with Lula and Bolsonaro. Go look it up. It's crazy. They got people still in jail there. They still got January 6 people in jail here. That's a whole separate conversation, but it's not a separate conversation because it's exactly the same thing. And it's not only concerning, but it's terrifying, and it shows you how these Democrats that are in power have this, what would you call it? This very interesting way of looking at things where it's okay for them to do it, but if anybody else does it, no, it's not okay. So I got lots of questions about what actually happened in Venezuela, right? Like I'm not a big fan of Maduro, and I definitely can't stand socialism, and I don't want them exporting none of that socialism nowhere. And I heard that they got Hezbollah people down in Venezuela for training camps down there. That's a whole separate conversation. I talked about that. But so I'm not a big fan of him, but this makes me question what's really going on. Then you see the other upheaval that's going on in other countries in South and Central America, like Nicaragua's got some stuff going on. I haven't really been following what's going on there. Bolivia had their staged coup, kind of like what happened in Turkey. I said what I said, okay? It was fake coup, okay, in Turkey, okay? Erdogan did that himself. I have real reason to believe he did that himself. Or it started off, he was doing it himself so he can have courage, and then the CIA tried to get involved with it and see what they can make really happen. But anyway, the similar thing happened in Bolivia, where the general tried to run into the presidential palace and then ended up in there just speaking to the president for like 3 hours. So, and then he came out later, he was arrested, and he said, well, the president asked me to do it so that he could get more favor because his poll ratings were down, because I guess they're having hyperinflation down there and the food costs are through the roof and the cost of living is through the roof and all types of stuff. It's very interesting that he would say that because we're seeing similar stuff happen in America. They're trying to say, oh, this is happening, that's happening, so you should be afraid. So you should all coalesce around Harris and you should be around her because the other people are trying to take your democracy from you, which isn't really a democracy, but they're trying to take it from you. And we're the only ones who will stand up and defend it. Liars, sack of malarkey. Okay? Like this is too much. It's really, really a lot, and we need to have serious conversations about it, but they don't want us to have conversations about it. Like we were talking earlier about what's going on in Britain with all of the people fighting back against the Middle Eastern Muslims who've taken over large parts of the country because they've just all been put into certain areas and stuff, and now the British are fighting back against it because they're legitimately causing havoc in their communities. So they're fighting back against it. It's not on the US news at all. You can't even find it. You can't even talk about it at all. They never talked about the farmers' protests that were going on in England and the Netherlands. It was so big in the Netherlands, and they had follow-up there because the farmers there, they ended up forming their own party, and they took 1/3 of the seats in whatever you call it, the parliament. So they did really good over there. But they didn't talk about any of that or the riots or stuff over there in England and stuff like that previous to this over the farming stuff. They didn't talk about none of that here because they don't want you to get a good idea that says, hey, well, look at them in other countries. They're standing up. Maybe we in America should stand up because they don't want you to stand up. They don't want you to stand up. They don't want to give you a good idea, you know? They want to keep you docile. They want to keep. That's why they're trying to take the meat from you, so you can't have any meat to eat because they know that you need meat to have more strength in your muscles. So that you don't have brain fog because meat lowers inflammation and all of this stuff. And that's why they're trying to fill you full of vegetables so that you can't have good healthy gut, so that you can't really have a lot of natural, what would you call it, natural minerals and resources inside your body. It's a serious issue. People need to look into it. In New York State, I don't know if it passed already or if they put it together or if it's just a regulation that they're doing. but they're putting all this money towards making it so that people can get more vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. People need more meat. You're giving them money for vegetables and fruit. People need more meat. You tripping. Meat's crazy expensive because you keep killing off all the cows and all the chickens and all of this stuff. Talking about, oh, it's important. And then all these crazy chicken plant fires and cow fires and stuff like that. It's crazy. You guys should look into all these farm fires. It's insane. So people need meat. But if you have meat, the more meat you have in your diet, the healthier you'll be. And they don't want to talk about that. That's why the whole, what do you call it? I guess the food pyramid. Come to find out that the food pyramid is basically upside down. They've been teaching us wrong the whole time. And then they try to change the whole food pyramid into something else. I don't even know what shape. It's crazy. But they tried to recalibrate it, but because they don't want you to be healthy, right? Because the whole medical industrial complex feeds off of you being unhealthy. That's why you look at all these foods now, all of them got all of these fake things and all this extra stuff and chemical additives and this and that. And, you know, a lot of the meat right now is being grown in labs and it's just completely fake meat completely. It made in plants and stuff like this. And when they say plant-based meat, they don't usually mean that it is from actual plants that grow out of the ground. They mean it's from plants like industrial plants. And it's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. It's very frustrating. And it's so frustrating. You look at what's going on, that they continue to try to make it so that you can't stand up. That's what this whole thing about the money is. That's why we see the greatest wealth disparity now more than ever. How's the wealth disparity so big if Harris and Biden got in there and they said, oh, well, we're going to help Americans and we're making everything better and don't believe your lying eyes. What's going on isn't going on. And they got articles coming out. The wealth disparity is the greatest that it's ever been. And I just saw an article here for Rochester the other day. Rochester is one of the cities in the nation that has the highest amount in the wealth gap. It's crazy. Drink water, stay hydrated. It's absolutely crazy. And that continues to get exacerbated because, like I said earlier, the value of the dollar is for naught. We need to go back on the gold standard or the silver standard, okay? And, you know, New York can actually issue its own gold or silver currency, and so can your state. It says that we can in the Constitution, but nobody has tried to do that. I encourage a state to try to do that. Somebody that's listening in the state, please try to do that. Try to get your state to issue its own gold or silver currency, okay, because it can do that by law in the Constitution. So here's the issue. We have very serious economic and financial issues plaguing our country as our people that are running on the Democrat ticket are trying to give you legitimately circuses. They've either got the gay clowns or the booty shaking black people out here trying to give you circus entertainment, okay, to distract you from what's really going on, that they have no policies. You know, you might not like Trump or whatever, but Trump has, since his run for election, he's put out a lot of policies. But I bet you most people don't know it because they don't watch his videos or listen to his policies or read it when he releases a policy that he wants to push for when he gets back in office and stuff like that. Because people hate him so much, you know. Orange man, bad, automatic. You're not even looking into it, you know. You just been taught to hate him and indoctrinated to hate him, and it's exactly what's happened with the Palestinians against Israel. You know, they've been taught and indoctrinated to hate them, so they do. And it's a serious issue, and it's a big freaking deal. And we need to really talk about it, but people don't want you to talk about it at all. Keepers, people. We are getting into a really serious direction really fast. And if you guys are listening online or watching online, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Okay, sharing it is the biggest thing that you guys can do. Get it out to more people and show them that there's somebody out there speaking truth and that they need to listen, and encourage your other friends to join in and watch it too. So what I want to do is I want to encourage all of you guys. The election's coming up, man. We got about 80 days left till election. Get up, get off your bum, Stop sulking in the corner. Stop being in your car crying. Okay. Stop throwing stuff at the TV. Okay. Get up. Help a local candidate near you. And if you're in Rochester or the Monroe County area, I encourage you to help out with my campaign or donate to my campaign. www.marcus4rochester.com. That's www.marcus4rochester.com. Because I've decided to stand up and fight for my community. I'm running for state assembly because those are the people that make the laws and control the budget. And we have laws in New York State that are so terrible and abysmal, it's crushing our people. We got budgetary things that are so ridiculous that it's beyond me. Our senator, one of our senators, Jeremy Cooney, okay, just got up and gave $30,000 to these drag queens the other day. Okay, $30,000 to these drag queens. I know. Some of you might like them, some of you might not, but that's not the point. This is a priorities issue. So then last week, he got up in public when these people were crying and mourning the loss of their family and friends. And he got up in public talking about we need more resources. We need more resources, but you're the one who deals with the budget allocations and giving out money. You just gave $30,000 to some drag queens, and you here talking to these people that are victims of violence, okay, of violent crime, when you allow the laws that allow the criminals to run wild, like bail reform and raise the age, and you refuse to lock them up, and you said out your mouth that you won't lock any children, and I'm quoting him here, any children up anymore when raise the age makes it so anybody under 18, no matter how horrible or heinous the crime that they commit, they just get right out of jail. Okay, most of the time not even go to jail. And then they go to family court. So after they actually do have a court session, their record is expunged and it's like nothing ever happened. And for anybody under 18, they don't even collect fingerprints or photos for. Are we being serious right now? Can we talk about that, Jeremy? No, you don't want to talk about that. Let's be real. You gave $30,000 to some freaking drag queens when people out here losing their families on the street, okay? People are losing their families every day to violence and crime because you let these criminals run around and you say that you're not going to lock up these criminals. Make it make sense to me, Jeremy. Make it make sense. People are getting shot and stabbed all up in my neighborhood, in my community. People are overdosing on drugs every day in my community. Why won't you lock these people up? Talking about we need more resources in the community. Well, if the resources aren't there, you've been in office for 2 terms, for almost 4 years. What have you done? Where are those resources? Why do we lack those resources when the Democrats are the people who have a super majority in the state assembly and a majority in the state senate, and they have the governorship? So if there is any lack of resources, it's 100% because of Democrats. That's not on the Republicans. So you got up there and told all of those grieving families that it's because we don't have resources that's happening. But really, you got up a few months ago and said that you're not locking up any of these criminals that are under 18 anymore ever again. You said that out your mouth. I watched the press conference, Jeremy. Okay, you said that. And your boy Damon Meeks, he co-signs that. Damon Meeks is in the assembly in the district that I'm running against him this year for, because they both out here spreading these lies to our people, and our community is suffering and nobody's doing anything about it. But you got $30,000 for some drag queens, bro. All I'm saying is this: drag queens should be a lower priority than violent crime and criminals, putting criminals in jail. Or even, hey, resources for people that are trying to reintegrate into the community. Or how about this? Resources for the families of the victims that are affected by crime. What about them? Nobody ever talks about the victims. Where are the victims' rights? Nobody cares about victims' rights. Why don't you care about victims' rights? Y'all don't care about victims' rights. Y'all don't care about the victims. Y'all don't care about y'all only care about the criminals running wild, creating chaos and havoc, and devaluing property so you can push the people in the community out of the community, because you want to get rid of poverty by pushing everybody out of the community and bringing in people from outside the community that are more wealthy and affluent from other states like California and the Midwest, where they've had more money. But because of the horrible policies that the Democrats have put in that have collapsed those states, they now need somewhere else to live, and they're seeking asylum here, essentially. That's what's really going on. It's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. It's very frustrating. Drink water, stay hydrated. It's very, very, very frustrating. And nothing is being done about it. Not a thing. But our elected officials come out and they play in our faces. You know, I'm running for local office because I know that that's where the most impact that I can have is. But there are good people running for federal level offices as well, like House of Representatives and stuff like that. But where I want to focus is locally, as local as possible. And I know that things like that, like probably where you are, you either got a town council or a city council. Those are some of the smallest local offices that you can focus on to get some actual real laws amended where you live, to actually get some real budgetary priorities changed. And then from there, you've got the county legislature in many states, depending on what state you are. You probably have a county legislature. Then those people do the issues with the county, and you can work with them, probably run for that office, you know. And I always encourage people to run. You know, we need more people to get out there and help people that are running this year. We got about 80 days left. We can actually take a lot of these seats because our competition is running scared out there. They're soulless, they're godless, and they're heathens. They're promoting proclivities and debauchery and drug use, and it's not good for anybody or our community. And we see the erosion of the education system. And what have they done about that? Nothing. They've made it considerably worse. And they refuse to even address it at all, knowing that when you have serious issues in the school system, when the school system is not performing well, that leads to more crime. But also, it leads to a bigger issue with the local economy because people aren't skilled enough to get the jobs in the area that they are actually in, and they're not able to get the jobs. Then that means that they're most likely to do crime or not be productive members of society and be a drain on resources and a drain on society. It's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. It's frustrating to me, you guys, and I'm sure it's frustrating to a lot of you guys. But the best thing that I can do is encourage you to get involved. Get involved. Help good people win because they need your help all across our nation, all across our state, all across our county. And I encourage you, again, shameless plug, I encourage you, pitch in or donate to my campaign, www.marcus4rochester.com. That's marcus4rochester.com. Because this is real. We have a real chance to turn some things around that are really destroying our city and our nation. And we have to. If not us, then who? People get this concept in their mind, oh, well, it's the end of times, so I don't need to do anything, or Jesus will come back, and nobody's coming down out the sky to help you, yo. Like, I don't know what Bible you're reading, okay? It's up to us to stand up here, now. If we don't stand up, then we lose everything. If you don't stand up, then Jesus is going to be like, you are neither hot nor cold. You are lukewarm, and I'll spit you out my mouth and act as if I never knew you because you never knew me. Amen. Can I get an amen? Look, it's real, and people refuse to stand up for values and morality, and they see this continued erasure and race to the bottom, and nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Over the weekend, it's Monday now, okay, as of this recording. It's Monday right now. And we've had multiple shootings, multiple stabbings, multiple bystanders shot. Okay, bystanders shot. Sounds weird when I say it. How does it sound? I don't know. Multiple bystanders shot, and even people stabbed by mistake, right? One person getting stabbed. This is real. Like, this is real stuff. I live in an urban center, okay? It's the city of Rochester in New York State. And what's happening here is terrible, but it's all due to Democrat policy. And they don't want you to talk about it. So many people are brainwashed. Oh, I'm only voting Democrat. Oh, I only vote my party. Are you really happy with all the crime? Are you really happy with all the education terribleness? You know, like you can't possibly be happy with this. Are you happy with the extra cost for gas? Are you happy with the extra cost for insurance? Are you happy with all these extra costs that everything's going up because of the Democrat policies? Are you happy with the extra cost of energy? Are you serious? Rent, mortgages, all of that's going up, 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 up. Can we talk about that? No, nobody wants to talk about that. That's a serious issue. At some point, as Americans, we need to start having very serious conversations. Very, very serious conversations. And the first conversation is, what's actually happening in the media, right? Because when we start talking about what's happening in the media, then we start having a real conversation. I saw in the news the other day, it was CNN, this guy was interviewing these black guys at a barber shop, right? So he was interviewing them and he asked them about Kamala Harris, and all of them were saying Kamala Harris is not black, okay? And then that Ali, whatever his name, I can't remember it, but Ali, whatever his name, came on and he was like, oh, when I played that clip on my radio show, first of all, don't no black people listen to your show. Shut up. Okay, don't play in my face. No black people listen. I'm joking, but I'm also serious. Okay. So he's like, when I played it on my show, a whole bunch of people were calling me saying, no, that's not true. Well, black is synonymous with African American. That's why people from other countries don't want to be identified as black, because they don't want to be associated with African Americans. So when you call this woman who's not got an ounce of anything that would be considered black in her, like black American in her, black, it is offensive to actual black Americans. Because we know Jamaicans will tell you real quick, they're not black. Dominicans will tell you real quick, they're not black. You know, it's so common with the Dominicans, and Dominicans are so funny. I love me some Dominicans, I'm telling you. But it's become a meme online with the Dominicans. They're like, Dominicans be like, me no black, and they be blacker than you, and they just try to salsa that off. Me no black, salsa. And it's a meme online because it's real. It's funny because it's true. You ask a lot of these Africans that are in America, what are they? They won't tell you black. They'll tell you, I'm from Congo. I'm what do you call it? I'm from Swaziland. Okay, I'm from Ethiopia. I'm from Eritrea. Okay, but they're not black Americans. They're not African American. They don't identify as that, and I hate the term African American. I cannot stand it. That's some nonsense that Jesse Jackson brought in to try to rebrand our people as African American. We ain't got not an ounce of African in us. That is a lie from the pits of hell that has continued to be told to Black America, and it is not true. It has never been true. The vast majority of Black Americans are Aboriginal Americans, okay, or what you would call American Indian, okay, Native American, whatever you want to say. That's what we are. We are feathered, not red dot like Kamala is, okay? Kamala's red dot. We're feathered, okay? And then they'll try to say, oh, well, the transatlantic slave trade, bull jive, okay? What they don't talk about is that how the transatlantic slave trade would never have made any sense, because it wouldn't have made no daggone money when you got people here on the land already that you can enslave that are here, that there were so many of us that they instituted the Trail of Tears and the Indian Removal Act to remove us from the lands in the South because there were so many of us. You mean to tell me that you're bringing people from a whole nother continent away that takes months and months and months to get over here, where you barely feed anybody anything or anything like that, to drag them over here, and then they'd be all emaciated and stuff like that, to drag them over here to have them be slaves? You sound dumb. And they won't ever talk about the breeding plantations that we had here in the U.S. or anything like that. Because when we start getting serious in this type of a conversation, it'll go too much to connecting Black Americans with our heritage and our lineage and our claim to this nation. And they don't want that. And the same people that'll tell you that that's not real will tell you that the government is full of systematic racism and the government hates black people and stuff like that. But the second you start talking about that, they'll be like, oh, that's not true. Yes, it is. Look up the Dawes rolls, okay? Go look up the actual history of our nation because you've been taught wrong. When I was in school, I was probably the last group of people that they were still teaching Christopher Columbus discovered America when he didn't discover America. When they even credit the name America being from Amerigo Vespucci, who came here before Columbus did. But when you really look into the name America, it actually comes from somewhere else, which is a whole other conversation. But Amerigo Vespucci did land here before Columbus did, and Columbus did never even land on the mainland. So that's a whole nother, he landed down in, it's the whole thing's crazy, okay? But we've been systematically taught wrong. What do they say? Oh, they whitewash history. They do. So I don't understand how people won't believe this. It's crazy when we got the records and we got the information. And you know a bigger slave trade that was bigger than the transatlantic slave trade? Because most of the slaves that were in the actual transatlantic slave trade actually went to Europe, not to the United States, which is a whole separate conversation. Don't nobody want to talk about that. Or to the American colonies. Don't nobody want to talk about that. Okay, we had the inter-American slave trade, but nobody want to talk about that either. It's frustrating because people that don't know the history of our nation, as they continue to wipe away our history in this nation by tearing down flags and tearing down statues. Oh, we don't want the statue of Robert E. Lee up because that somebody might get offended. I'm not offended by the statue of Robert E. Lee. Okay, the statue needs to be up to remind you how close we were to losing our union because this guy was a very good general. Okay, if he would have got that help from France that he was trying to get, if he would have got that help from Belgium that he was trying to get, we'd be a completely different country right now. And the fact that people want to take away from that by destroying all these statues and stuff like that, so we can't never ask any questions about what had happened in another generation, they won't know nothing happened. They out here getting rid of busts and statues of Theodore Roosevelt and of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. In another generation, we won't know any of the history of the United States of America because they have systematically erased it. So disgusting, it makes you want to spit. But here's the deal, people. These are very, very serious topics in the history of the United States. And as we know, they don't want you to know the history of the United States. They prefer you to know nothing. The less that you know, the easier you are to control. That's why they distract you with all of these entertainers and crazy people, and they give you no policy. The Democrats have no policies for us. I'm talking about all Americans, more so over Black Americans. They got no policy for us. Where's the policy for Latino Americans? Where's the policies? No, but the illegal aliens, they got policies for them. The alphabet people, they got policies for them. What's in it for us? Why should we possibly vote for another party? Oh, because, well, they're going to destroy our democracy. How? He was already in there 4 years. He didn't destroy nothing. Not a lick of nothing. And we can't have these conversations because they don't want us to have real conversations. Because once we start having real conversations, it starts people on a path of thinking and real research. And that's why they don't want you to be able to talk about stuff like this online and things like that. This is very, very, very serious. And nobody wants to talk about it. But if we do start talking about these things and creating an environment where it's okay to talk about these things, we'd be doing a very good justice for our nation. But they know that if we start talking about our history and learning about our history, we might actually be proud to be Americans. Be proud of how far we've come. Be proud of what was done and where we are now. But they don't want that because that would unite us all together. And if we were united, we might flip the table over on these elites that are really running everything behind the scenes. And if we flip the table over, their whole game is done. They don't want us to stand. That's why they're not showing what's going on in England and Scotland and Ireland right now. And them turning up over the Middle Eastern Muslims that are basically doing all types of havoc over there. Okay? And now they're out in the streets in marauding packs, okay, looking for people that are protesting against the Muslims, trying to stab, and the Muslims are trying to stab them up and beat them up with boards and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's insane. But we can't talk about that, and they don't want to put it on the news, because if you knew, what do they say? If you knew better, you'd do better. That's why they didn't put the farmer protests on. But we need to stand up. That's why they tried to make it when we had the trucker protests in the U.S. That's why they tried to make it so crazy, like all of these people are bad people and stuff like that, when all they were trying to do was stand up for righteousness and our nation, you know, peacefully, because they don't want that. They don't want you to do that, because when they know that if you can activate enough people, they'll have a serious problem themselves. I don't want you to give up hope. Don't give up hope. Don't give up faith. But I'll tell you this. If you are an American citizen, it is up to you to stand up and take action. Nobody is coming to save us. Europe's not coming to save us. Nobody from the sky is coming to save us. And it's very clear that our own people in government want to run us into the ground, because they're separate from us. They're a bunch of group of elites that have their own priorities and own interests above the people. That's why we as American people largely don't feel represented by a lot of politicians, because they don't actually represent us. They represent themselves. They represent their special interests. That's why I encourage you. Maybe you might want to get out and run for office. But if not, you got to get active. Okay, maybe you go to the school board meetings. Maybe you go to town council or city council meetings. Maybe you go to the zoning meetings. There's very serious issues in zoning, and I'm sure in my city, nobody goes to those meetings. And I can't fight all the battles at one time. My big battle is crime legislation and policy and advocating for a change there. Even though I do have a lot of other things that I'd like to talk more about and advocate for that, I'm not drawing a paycheck through this advocacy that I'm doing, and nobody paying me to do it. I wish you were. If you want to send me some money, I'm not going to stop you. Okay. Look. So, speaking of which, if you want to advertise or if you want to sponsor, I should say sponsor. If you want to sponsor our show, send me an email, marcuswilliams222@gmail.com. I'll tell you how you can do that, or how you can donate, and we'll give you a shout out for donating. But what's going on is terribly problematic, and that's why we have to take action. I encourage you to help anybody that's locally running that you really believe in. And after they're elected, I encourage you to stay on their buns, okay? Because we have to. People think that the accountability ends at the ballot box. No, that's where it starts. Once the people are in office, we must demand action from them being in office. That's why I'm always at my elected officials in my area demanding action, because somebody's got to. And that's us, the American public. Okay, we have to be demanding action on our local and state level to get the change that we want to see in our communities. The way the structure of our nation is it's states' rights. Okay, states' rights are very important. In New York State, they're trying to erase home rule, which is how certain counties and stuff kind of do their own thing free of the state, but they're trying to get rid of that. Pretty much they've gotten rid of most of it. But I've heard that there's counties in Tennessee that have stood up and bucked the state, and they do their own thing now. I could only wish for that in Monroe County. But I encourage you guys, get involved. However little it is, whatever level of commitment that you can to get involved, whether it's going to a school board meeting, or maybe running for yourself, or maybe helping out somebody's campaign that's running by doing phone calls or sending emails or talking to your friends about them or sharing posts. Or if you're listening to this, make sure that you're sharing this. Share this, like it, subscribe if you're online. Catch us on the Marcus C. Williams channel on YouTube and Rumble. All of the videos are starting to upload to Rumble, so those should all be loaded up there soon. But if you're following us on other social media, make sure you're liking, sharing on X or Facebook or wherever you are, okay? It's very, very, very important that we start taking the action for our area that we want to see. Nobody is going to do it for us. Why did I get into politics? Because I felt like nobody was addressing the various issues that I see my people in my neighborhood and my community complaining about, and I'm having to deal with them too. So I'm running for everyone. not just myself, but also myself, because I got the same issues that everybody else is having. These high costs, out of control. These over-regulations, out of control. The squeezing of the businesses, out of control, okay? Essentially, in New York State, we got legalized extortion from the state for businesses. It's crazy. We got these issues with all this food. Everybody's experiencing those issues. These are issues everybody's experiencing. That's why I'm running. The crime, the overdoses, that's why I'm running. Because I'm fed up with working with trying to demand that my elected officials change it, and I say demand, you'll say, well, Marcus, that's a little solid of a word. Yeah, it started off with me calling them, setting up meetings, asking nicely, sending emails, proposing stuff online and in public, doing rallies in front of their office, because they refuse to change the laws that are harming our community. And at the same time, we're getting pushed out of our community and priced out of our community. People can barely afford to live. It's insane what's happening. But hey, man, it's going to take more of us to start standing up and to start speaking up. And that's what I want to encourage everybody that's listening to do. Make sure that you are standing up, speaking up, and you don't shut up. Take action. That's all that I can tell you. It's all that I can tell you. I can tell you about the stuff that's going on in other countries over here. I can tell you about the stuff that's going on in the economy right here. I can tell you about the stuff with the president. I can tell you about the stuff with this or with that or with whatever. But at the end of the day, we have to start by focusing local. If we do not get the people in the right offices in the local localities, nothing will happen. That's city council, that's town council, that's county ledge, that's the mayor's office. If we don't get people in there that are the right people, the things and the changes that we want to see are not going to happen. That's state assembly, that's state that's the state house, depending on where you are. Like, they don't always call it state assembly. Sometimes they call it House of Representatives, State House of Representatives. That's state senate. We have to start getting the right people in these seats so we can see a real difference being made. And with that, we're going to close out the show. Make sure that you tune in next week to WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio, The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. And make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends, family, even the people that you don't like, and your enemies up the street that think alike, to tune into our show, to watch our show, to share our content, to help us get the message out to more people. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. You guys be blessed, be well, read your Bible. If you don't have a Bible, go to a church. They'll probably give you one for free. Read it. It's important. We all got to turn to Christ, and we have to repent, because now is the time to stand for morals and righteousness that is being stripped from our nation. I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.